Hello, everyone. Always good to be with you. Thanks for showing up. One of our viewers asked if I would talk about apologizing. I thought, well, I don't think I have much to say about that, but the more I thought about it, the more I have to say. So I want to share with you different layers of getting over an apologetic attitude. I had a friend with a woman who hung around with another lady, and they were always saying, I'm sorry to each other. They were always apologizing. And I realized that this wasn't functional. So they made up a rule that when one of them would say, I'm sorry, the other one would say, you're not sorry, you're pathetic. And that cured them of saying, I'm sorry. So let's look into what it means to say, I'm sorry, and do you really need to, and is it appropriate anytime? I want to look less at the words I'm sorry and more about a defensive or apologetic attitude. In other words, when you don't believe you deserve something, you start apologizing for it, like money. Like a lot of people are afraid to admit that they like money. And the truth is that most people really like it when they get money, and most people really don't like it when they have to pay money. And I've been listening to videos by a wonderful teacher named Reverend Ike, I-K-E. He was a minister in the 1970s. He was very popular. And he took a metaphysical approach to abundance. And he wanted to help people get money because he worked with a lot of people who were on welfare and they were hurting financially. And he wanted to prop them up and say, you deserve good things in your life. And he is a very wealthy man himself. He said, I don't apologize. He said, I like having money and I love it when it comes. And I like being a model of wealth. He was a minister. And he said, how can I teach you about abundance if I look poor? I'm not apologizing. I don't apologize for having money. He says, I like money. And people ask him, what is your astrological sign? He says, my sign is the dollar sign. And once he was on this TV news interview where these reporters were grilling him and trying to nail him and crucify him, so to speak. And one asked him, well, what do? You sit around, you meditate on a $5 bill? He said, oh, no, a $5 bill is far too small of a denomination for me to focus on. Look him up on the internet, on YouTube, Reverend Ike. He's a really cool guy. And the point is that he was helping people getting over apologizing about having money or having a nice house or having a nice car. One of my coaching clients owned a nursing home. He was a manager and director of a nursing home. And he said, I would really like to get this new truck, but I'm afraid that if I get my truck, my employees see me driving up to this place in a new truck and say, oh, he has so much money and we don't. So I'm shy to get a new truck. And I reframed. I said, well, what if you showed up on this new truck and it was an inspiration to your employees that here's a guy who's worked his way up in this business. He owns a business now and he drives a really nice truck, and maybe as I invest myself in this business and I do the best I can, perhaps I can be a manager, I can own it one day, and I too can get the truck. So we reversed his sense of apology about flaunting his truck, which he didn't really want to do. And I said, he got to the place where he could just know that it's a good thing to show that you have good things and you might inspire other people. He paid his employees well. He wasn't flaunting it. And so when you have abundance and you live nicely, have a nice house, nice car, nice clothes, nice trips, whatever you like, then you become a model of well-being and prosperity and supply and enoughness. And so many people are suffering from a sense of lack. That is one of the biggest, there's no sins really, but to believe that I live in a universe of lack is really self-demeaning. It's demeaning to God, because another name for God is supply and abundance and enoughness. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. which means you're not only loved, but you're given enough things. Jesus even said, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all these things shall be added unto you. So he wasn't just saying, oh, live in heaven, even if you're in poverty and suffering and don't have enough. He's saying, choose the kingdom of heaven as your attitude, as your dwelling place, as your home from inside out. And then the outside will take care of itself. You'll automatically attract abundance because you have enough inside yourself. And you do not have to apologize for having enough because you're now becoming a model of enough. So it's really okay to say, I like money. I like having money. I like getting money. We can all say that if it's true. It's true for most of us. And then let's take sex for another example. I was once doing a webinar, it was an in-person seminar actually, and this woman was talking about her relationship with her boyfriend. And she said, well, sometimes we have an active nap. And I never heard that term before. I said, what's an active nap? And she said, well, you know. I said, I don't know. What is you know? She said, well, sex. And she had grown up Catholic. And she was taught that sex was dirty and filthy and you shouldn't have it. And you're a bad person if you have sex. And you're an even worse person if you enjoy it. And so we worked with her to kind of just own the fact that she enjoyed having a good sexual relationship with her boyfriend. And she didn't have to call it an active nap or a you know. And so a lot of us could say, honestly, if it's true, I really enjoy sex. And maybe you enjoy forms of sex that other people wouldn't understand or approve of, as long as it's not hurting anybody. If they're two consenting adults and everybody's happy with it. So why not own your sexuality, whatever it is? And if you don't want to be sexual, own that. In other words, we're getting over apologizing for what we are. I mean, if you are something, then be it. I think there's something we can all come out of the closet on. It's something that we feel ashamed of or embarrassed about that could actually be a wonderful thing. You know, maybe your sexuality is a wonderful way for you to connect with your partner. Maybe your sexuality brings you a sense of aliveness and joy and connection and passion that you don't feel elsewhere. Well, if it is, then claim it. Or how about using money as a fulcrum for joyful self-expression and helping other people? I might have mentioned once before, there was a famous philanthropist in New York City. His name was Milton Petrie. And he would read the newspaper each day, and he would find somebody who had been hurt in some way, and he would help them. And he read a story about a beautiful young model who had a fight with a boyfriend, and he knifed her face. It was horrible. And she had all these scars and cuts, and it ruined her glamour, her cover girl beauty. And he found this woman, and he gave her a lot of money to have cosmetic surgery, to have her skin restored. That was a good use of money. And then he would read about policemen that had been killed or injured on line of duty. And he would donate to their families or to the rehabilitation fund. And so he was proud of the money he had, and he was proud of the way he was using it. Now, you don't have to be a philanthropist to be proud of having money. There's nothing that says you have to give a lot of money away. And very often in my workshops, I'll ask people, well, what would you do if you got a lot of money? And the first they say, well, I give it to my sister, I give it to my nephew. And it's almost as if they can't justify having money. They have to prove that if they had money, they would give it away. It's a wonderful thing to give money away. I really blessed philanthropists. But if you say that because you feel guilty about having it, you're probably not going to get it because you have too much guilt tied up with money. So what if we somehow remove the guilt factor from money and we let it flow to us, and we let it flow from us. So money became an uplifter instead of a buzzkill. And there's that wonderful affirmation I teach many people in my programs. It goes like this: every dollar I spend enriches the economy, blesses everyone it touches, and returns to me multiplied. I'll say it again. Every dollar or rupee or euro I spend enriches the economy, blesses everyone it touches, and returns to me multiplied. Now, isn't that a positive vision of money rather than money is the root of all evil? If you think that money is evil, every time you touch it, you're going to feel dirty. But if you think that money is a gift from God, which when circulated, prospers and lifts and blesses, empowers and feeds everybody it touches, it suddenly becomes an expression of love. And there have been several books that have been written. One is called Money Love, another is called Money is Love, where the author invites you to now equate money with love. And whatever you're doing with money, you're doing with love. When you circulate it, you're giving love. And when you receive it, you're receiving love. So wouldn't it be wonderful to redefine money as an avenue, an expression of moving love around, so everybody who touches it is lifted and blessed? And then why would you possibly apologize for having money or receiving it or charging your fee and receiving your fee when the more you receive, the more love you're letting in, and the more you give, the more love you're letting out? So we're looking now for a big reframe on what you think you have to apologize for. Some people think they have to apologize just for existing. I remember I felt apologetic, not about existing, but I would stay over somebody's house or visit, and I would tiptoe around in the morning because I don't want to bug them when I got up. I thought, wait a minute, they're your guests in the house. You've invited to stay here. Go ahead and use the bathroom. You're not going to bug anybody. And so we just have to get that we're here for a reason, and all the things in life that we enjoy and use come to us for a reason and express from us for a reason. That there is nothing we really need to apologize for about our existence. Now, there's a caveat, of course, If you make a mistake and you mess up somehow, well, I'm sorry I did that. And if you're genuinely sorry, you say it. And that's it. We all make mistakes. There's all something we can say I'm sorry about. But after that, get over it. In other words, if you apologize for a particular act, that's fine, but don't apologize for your existence. Don't apologize for your money or your sexuality. Or if you, I've seen people deflect compliments. People say, well, that's a really nice dress. Yeah, but I don't look so good in it. Or there's a little tear here. And you can't let the compliment in. You can't just sit with it and say, well, thank you. I'm glad you like my dress. Now, my teacher, Hilda, a lot of you have heard me talk about, when somebody gave her a compliment, she would expand on it. So they would say, Hilda, that was a really nice lecture. And she'd say, oh, did you really like it? And she wasn't fishing for more compliments. She realized that somebody was blessed in thanking her. So she was giving them more of an opportunity to thank more, to let their thanks flow through them so they could get the gift of giving thanks. She said, I didn't need thanks. But she knew how to draw people out so they would enlarge on their compliments. And of course, you can also enlarge on your ability to receive compliments. So yeah, I'm glad you like it. Thank you so much. Yeah, I really feel good in this shirt. This is one of my favorite shirts. Woohoo. So there's a lot, when my students said, would you please talk about apology, there's so many levels to it. And another word for apology is justifying or explaining or rationalizing. Those are all the same energy. And you may have noticed that the more you try to explain something, the deeper a hole you dig. So you don't need to justify your argument. You make your statement, and that's it. If the person gets it, or they don't. Otherwise, the more you explain, the more you're dipping into a kind of apology. So, wouldn't it be wonderful if all of us could just drop into a sense of such self-worth and such knowingness of the goodness that God has placed in us, and such confidence in the gifts that we have to share, and such worthiness to understand that the universe wants to support us with food and clothing and sexuality and money and a wonderful place to live and a nice car and friendships and vacations. You know, you may think these are decadent, but really these are what we all deserve by virtue of our identity as children of God. God is not a stingy God. God is not a lacking God. God is not a punishing God. Those are all weird concepts that people made up, projecting human frailty onto the absolute perfect divine. Let's get over that, shall we? And start to really know our worth as divine beings who have nothing to apologize for. We are as God created us. That's one of the big lessons of the Course in Miracles. I am as God created me. And today's the last day. I will remind you about our new webinar series. It's called Friends in High Places. It starts September 29th today. You can still get in on it. If you hear this after the 29th, you can get a recording of the first session, and you can join us live for the seventh session after that. We're going deep into channeling and mediumship and psychic communication and intuition and guidance. And we're talking about bridging the gap between earth and heaven, and recognizing that we have friends in high places. We have guides, angels, spirit guides, masters, gurus, healers, avatars, whatever you want to call it. There are so much help available to us in invisible realms. And as we recognize the reality of that dimension, we can avail ourselves of the blessings and healing. So go to my website, alancohen.com, and you can sign up for Friends in High Place. So let's connect with you during this 8-week webinar series. Okay, let's end with a moment of deep knowing. I will speak the word for all of us. Great Spirit, with a capital G and capital S, of which I am an expression. This is for all of us. I know that I deserve all the good things that life has to offer. I will no longer apologize for myself. I will no longer apologize for what I have. I will no longer apologize for what I like. I will no longer apologize for what makes me happy. I will drop into deep confidence that if something makes me happy, it is worth doing, it is worth expressing, it is worth sharing. And so I throw off this cloak of apology that I have learned. I was not born with it. And I'm returning to my original innocence and saying, my higher power has inspired me to enjoy these things. So I will enjoy them. I will engage in them. I will love them. I will share them. I will express them. And if it's good enough for me, it's good enough for God. Thank you so much, everybody. Love you lots. We'll see you next week.